Robby, what is on your radar?
Well, at this late date in the pandemic, as COVID-19 has thankfully ceased to be a serious illness for most people who contract it, public health officials are still pushing masks and mask mandates on the populace. In fact, Los Angeles County is likely to bring back its indoor mask mandate at the end of the month, and Seattle is considering doing the same. Dr. Ashish Jha, the White House's coronavirus response coordinator, thinks this is a great idea and will, quote, really make a difference this time. Listen to what he said here.
CDC has very clear guidance on this as well through their COVID community levels. And the CDC recommendation is that when you're in a high zone, that sort of orange zone, as LA County is, people wearing masks indoors is really important, and it really will make a difference.
Josh says that wearing masks indoors is important, will really make a difference. He claims that the science is clear. The science is on the side of compulsory masking. So let's just call this what it is. It's a lie. It's misinformation, in fact, to use that term. At present, it is clear that the common cloth masks that were required in many cities and states throughout the pandemic do very little to stop the spread of COVID-19. Dr. Leanna Wen, a medical analyst for CNN, not someone who didn't take the pandemic seriously enough, she called them little more than facial decorations. Wearing a surgical or N95 mask, KN95 mask, likely offers some protection against catching COVID-19, or at least that's the current thinking. But the new variants are extremely contagious and very successful at evading both mitigation efforts and immunity acquired from vaccination and prior infection. Social media is filled with sob stories of extremely cautious people who lament that they did everything right. They practiced social distancing. They wore masks everywhere. They didn't go to the movies. They stopped getting haircuts. They worked from home permanently. They don't let their kids go to birthday parties. What happened? Eventually they got COVID. I mean, look at some of these examples I found on social media. Just tested positive for COVID 1 month to the day from the first time I had it. I never stopped wearing a KN95 indoors. I took precautions even though my doctor said I should be fine for 3 months, sharing so people know it can happen as a reminder to keep taking care. I've said on this show before, but it bears repeating, COVID is a disease. It's not a moral failing. It's not a sin. You don't get it because you're a bad person. Increasingly, you can't really control whether you get it or not. The idea that with the right amount of dedication to the cause, you can avoid it, it's an illusion. It's a powerful one, but it's an illusion all the same. Some public health officials now, they actually do understand that it's an illusion, and they understand that the increase in cases is not resulting in more deaths or out of control hospitalizations. Listen to these two public health experts talking about COVID cases in LA.
Our COVID situation is, so it reminds me of that movie Good Morning Vietnam, when he was talking about the weather continued blankety blankiness. It's just the same. It's not changed. It's been the same. It's like 2 months of the same. You can see countywide numbers with the top graph. It's just, it's like plateaued and it's not going down. It's sort of trickle up a little, but really not much. It's just been like that. And we're getting thousands of cases per week across the county. The numbers at LAC, COVID positive tests, have continued to go up. But this isn't because we're seeing a ton of people with symptomatic disease getting admitted. If you go to the bottom graph, it's the same thing. We're seeing a lot of people with mild disease in urgent care or ED who go home and do not get admitted. And of those who are admitted, they're 90% of the time not admitted due to COVID. Only 10% of our COVID positive admissions are admitted due to COVID. Virtually none of them go to the ICU. And when they do go to the ICU, it is not for pneumonia. They are not intubated. They are not these horrible 100% FiO2. We haven't seen one of those since February.
That was footage from a recent town hall meeting featuring public health officials affiliated with LA County and the University of Southern California. I want to play one more short clip from that discussion. Here it is.
All I can tell you is we're not seeing severe COVID, and we haven't for quite some time. Also, I really do like going to the gym in the morning. It makes me feel healthy.
And you can certainly do that while masked after Wednesday.
It is theoretically possible to go to the gym while masked. It is, however, much more difficult to vigorously exercise while masked.
Yeah, I play basketball and one of my teammates wears an N95 throughout the whole game. I don't know how he does it.
Wow, that is dedication, right?
Well, they know how obnoxious, how difficult it is to wear one of those masks all the time. They don't want to do it. They don't think it's necessary for the law to require you to do so. Unfortunately, the decision isn't up to reasonable people. It's up to, in LA County, Barbara Ferrer, who is the director of that city's public health department and a COVID restrictions zealot. She is unelected, she is unaccountable, and she thinks masks are nothing more than a slight nuisance at worst. Here she is discussing them back in April.
But I want to point out that masking is, at most an annoyance, and really, particularly masking to take care of other people who are much more vulnerable seems like a very good idea to me. So I'm going to continue to encourage that people keep those masks on.
No one gets to vote on this. If you don't agree with her, doesn't matter. She can't be voted out of office. She was never voted into office. An unelected, unaccountable public health bureaucracy in various parts of the country still wants to force everyone under their purview to wear masks and practice other forms of social distancing, and they'll say it's because the science means it has to be so, even though we know that's not the case. You can bet, however, top doctors in the Biden administration would like to do the same, though I think they seem to know the public has absolutely no appetite for it. Biden, Dr. Fauci, Rochelle Walensky, Ashish Jha thought for a moment there was any chance they could get away with it. You bet we'd have a national mask mandate in place. For how long? I don't know. Maybe forever. Because forever is going to be how long we're dealing with COVID, Batya. And I'm just, I was hoping every time I do a radar on masks, I hope it's the last time. But the ignorance that I saw from Dr. Jha on the Sunday shows this weekend, we know what the science says. This helps. So yes, it's a great idea to require this. But no municipality is requiring the KN95 mask. They're just requiring any mask because they know requiring the KN95 mask, I think, is a bridge too far. But if you're not requiring those masks, there's no point because the weaker masks are annoying and also have practically no benefit. Then that's not like my fringe, like anti-COVID restrictions, crazy person opinion. That's an opinion that the mainstream health officials now hold. So it just seems so stupid.
Well, you may be sick of delivering these, Robby, but I don't know where we would be without the classic Robby mask takedown. So I, for one, am always a little bit happy to see it in the news. I will just add, I've been flying a lot lately, and something you notice is you get on the plane, and about 50% of first class is masked, and then about 25% of business class is masked, and then no one else is wearing it. And I just think that really speaks to what this is, which I love that, which she said, a decoration for the face. It's a virtue signal that you can wear on your face, to signal your belonging to a certain caste that had the luxury of, taking COVID as seriously as it did for as long as it did, right? So I'm totally with you, Robby, and I'm so glad that you keep your, pointing out the hypocrisy here and just the ridiculousness. Yeah,
I too have been flying a lot lately, and the planes have fewer and fewer, especially of just ordinary people. You're right, it's maybe the elites are still doing it, especially if they can signal to you that they're doing it. If they're around everyone else, they're still going to wear it. They want to make sure they didn't vote for Trump. They're Elizabeth Warren people at heart, I think, is the core political identity of a permanent masker. But anyway, we'll see if these mandates come back anywhere else other than LA. I mean, if you're still in LA, I guess flee for your lives. But I'm a little bit worried about DC because our mayor has certainly brought them back as her schedule permits. I know she has a birthday coming up, so she'll probably wait until after that. But then it's any guess. Brutal, Robby. All right, we'll have more Rising right after this. Stay tuned.